Hello dear students. Now I welcome you to the next part of the video, that is here we will be learning about the mountain forests and also the importance of forests by far. So let's begin. If we ask you that what is the importance of forest, what will one say? Now forest has got a lot of importance, and why so? For our ecological balance. Forests are vital to life on earth. Why? It has got a huge number of reasons. Let's see why. But before that, let's study a little bit about the mountain forests. So now, what are the mountain forests? As we can understand from the name, lofty mountains like the Himalayas, the forests that they house are known as the mountain forests. Now, as we know that as we ascend an altitude, the type of vegetation starts changing. There are different types of vegetations with the increase in altitude. The types of vegetation gradually changes with different altitudes. Now, the type of vegetation also depends on the height of that place. Why so? This is because of the temperature that decreases with the increase in altitude, and what? In the higher reaches, most of the precipitation is in the form of what? Snow. This feature of the mountains affects the type of vegetation found on them. So, as we can understand, two external factors that that influence the type of vegetation in the mountains are the altitude and the temperature. So we have seen that how the temperature alters with the difference in climate. We will come to the types of the mountain climate, but let us see what is the importance of forests before that. As we know, forests are vital to life on Earth. They purify the air we breathe, filter the water that we drink, prevent soil erosion, and act as an important buffer against climate change. Now, forests offer a home to much of the world's diverse array of plants and animals and provide what? Essential natural resources from timber and food to medicinal plants. Forests also support the lives of local communities and help them to thrive. But forests around the world are under threat. Despite the key roles that forests play in the world's environmental and economical health, what do? We continue to lose forests along with the endangered animals that live in them. In 2020, the tropics lost more than 12 million hectares of tree cover. That's roughly 30 soccer fields worth of trees every single minute. Illegal logging, poor forest management practices, and growing demand for forest and agricultural products contribute to their rampant destruction. Deforestation is especially severe in some of the world's most biologically diverse regions, such as the Amazon, the Borneo, and even the Sumatra, the Congo Basin, and the Russian Far East. As a result, nearly half of the world's original forests are being lost. And forests provide us with invaluable environmental, social, and economic benefits. Many of the world's most endangered animals depend on forests for their survival. So we can understand not only that the forests not only provide us with immense amount of natural resources, but what do? They also help us to maintain the lives of certain endangered species, which are again important for the ecosystem. And a large amount of these forests are on the mountain forests. Why? Because the altitude of the foothills, suppose a little bit higher than that, where there is good amount of rainfall, the flora and fauna, the diversity of animals is very much enriched in these places. Now, forests provide invaluable environmental, social, and economic benefits to us all. Many of the world's most endangered animals depend on forests for their survival. Now, these forests also contribute directly to the livelihoods of 90% of over 1 billion people that live in extreme poverty. They play a central role in the world's economic health as the forest industry generates over 186 billion in global trade in primary wood products to supply the growing population of customers around the world. Now, much of the world's forest loss is driven by conversion of natural forests to other land uses, including pulp, palm oil, and soy plantations. Deforestation and degradation from illegal and unsustainable logging, fires, and fuel wood harvesting can imperil wildlife, jeopardize people's livelihoods, and intensify climate change. Millions of people rely directly on forests for food, medicine, fuel, and shelter through small scale agriculture, hunting, gathering, and harvesting forest products. Poorly managed forests deprive such communities of healthy livelihoods. And by far, the forests are also affecting our climate change, like deforestation, soil erosion, the loss of biodiversity. Okay, so these are by far the importance of the mountain forest and of the forest by far. Now we will see a little bit that what type of mountain forests grow at what altitudes. So here I have divided into 5 types of altitudes. First is what type of vegetation grows on the lower reaches of the Himalayas. Then we find what type of vegetation grows between 1500 and 2000 meter above the sea level. Then we find another type of vegetation that grows above 3000 meter sea level. And above 4000 meter is another one. And now lastly, we find a type of vegetation above 4500 meter. So we will study what is the type of each and every type of this vegetation that grows at different altitudes of the Himalayas in India. Now, on the foothills or on the lower reaches of the Himalayas, we come across what rainforests and deciduous forests. They are also called wet hill forests. Between 1500 and 2000 meter, we find what? We find coniferous forests. And important species found of plants that are found over here are cheer pine, silver fir, deodar, and spruces. So, what do we see on the lower reaches? We come across rainforests and deciduous forests. They are what called also known as wet hill forests. Again, on the second ridge that is a bit higher than that, what do we get? We get the between the 1500 and 2000 meter, we get the coniferous forests. And what are the important species of plants found over here? Important species found here are cheer pine, silver fir, deodar, and spruces. So these are the first 2 types of the Himalayan vegetation that we find on differing altitudes. Next, we come across the next part. That is the third part. That is above, last was till 2000, now we come above the 3000 meter. Above the 3000 meter level, what do we find? We find alpine grasslands. And a few trees. What are the type of trees that we find? Like junipers, birches, they are all found scattered in this region. And vegetation gradually starts decreasing drastically from the fourth part. that is at around 4,000 meters. And what are found over there? Only mosses and lichens. And finally, in the most upper sections of the Himalayas, that is at a very high altitudes, what do we find? We do not find any kind of vegetation. What the only thing that is there is snow. The point below, beyond this point is devoid of any kind of vegetation. The snow cover takes place and it is known as the snow line. So the mountain forests are important because there are 5 subdivisions. The lower reaches or the foothills. Then we start gradually ascending, that is between 1500 to 2000 meter. We get the coniferous forests, and along with that we get several types of plants like cheer pine, silver fir, deodar and spruces. Then after that we come across above the 3000 meter level. That is there the alpine grasslands. These also have a type of trees like junipers, birches. Fourth is quite at a high level, that is above 4000 meter. What is found at this point? Only mosses and lichens. And above 4500 meter, what is the ground covered with snow? There is no more vegetation. So these are by far the 5 most important types of the mountain vegetations. As we can see, the first part includes the foothills region, where the region is covered with rainforest. See, it is thickly developed, and also some deciduous forests. These are also known as wet hill. The second picture tells us a little bit above the foothill. That is, we can see 1500 to 2000 meter and covered with coniferous forest. After that, what do we see? Junipers and lichens, birches. These are found where? Above 3000. In the fourth picture, we can see this quite at a high level. That is, only mosses and lichens are found and the height is 4000 meter. And then the last picture, here we can see there is very low vegetation and the snow line has started. So I hope now the mountain forest part is totally clear and the 5 subdivisions are also well noticed. So we saw what the types of vegetations that grow on the mountain forests and by far the importance of forests. Now we will study about the importance of forests in detail. So let's see. Now we will study about the importance of forests. Let's see. Now, what are the importance of forests? So the importance of forests, as far as we know, that what their main function is to protect the ecological balance. What do? They prevent from disrupting the livelihoods of a lot of people. Millions of people rely directly on forests for food, medicine, fuel and shelter through small-scale agriculture, hunting and gathering, and harvesting forest products. Poorly managed forests deprive such communities of healthy livelihoods. And so, what is our duty? Our duty is to protect the forests. Yeah, so let's start. Also, one thing that the students need to remember is the importance of forests while studying any type of vegetation. And how do we do that? We will do that by making a list of a number of presentations that I show you. For example, if we see the significance of forests, for each and every type of point, we will have to relate it to what type of forests mainly help in doing this. For example, forests are useful to us in many ways. Trees inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen, the life-giving gas. So the inhalation of carbon dioxide and exhalation of oxygen will be highest concentrated in the regions of very thick vegetation, that is, we can say the evergreen forests, because they form canopy-like structure. So they have got the most thickest vegetation at top. So that is also important. And again, in case of deciduous forest, they have very rich undergrowth as well. So that is also important. So these two types of plants are or forests are very important for the increase of oxygen gas. And what do forests do? Forests provide habitats for wildlife. The wildlife species are conserved by the forests, and they also moderate the temperature of a place by cooling that atmosphere. And also as I said, prevents soil erosion. It holds the soil firmly together and prevents soil erosion, because when suppose there is a lot of flood, if there is not enough plants to hold the soil tightly with their roots, what will happen? The plants will get uprooted and they will flow away with the water. Suppose in case of floods or storms or immense blow of winds. So if we have a lot of vegetation cover, it won't be able to wear away the soil. They also, what do they do? In the fifth point, we can see they enable percolation of water into the ground. This is again possible in case of where what? The thickly grown forest, the evergreen, the mangrove, the deciduous forest. And this is applicable, the sixth point is applicable to all types of vegetation. That is what the forest helps us to bring ecological balance. That is by maintaining the sustainable temperature on Earth and also protecting all the types of biodiverse species. And lastly, as I said, a lot of people depend on the forest for their livelihood by producing the forest products like timber, fuel, wood, lac, gum, honey, medicinal herbs, fruits, and nuts. So these are the most important points that we need to remember for the significance of forests. So in this presentation, we have completed the mountain forest and their significance and the importance of forest encompassing all levels, India and globally as well. In the next type, we will see what type of wildlife that we get in these vegetations. I hope this point is very clear. The importance of forest and as well as the types of forest that we have done so far. Thank you.